In the quiet rural village of Al-Mizraq, far from the noise of the cities, stood an old house that everyone avoided after sunset. The walls were cracked, the windows broken, and the garden wild with thorny branches. People whispered that something unseen lived inside, something that had been there long before any human stepped foot in the village. When Samir inherited the house from his late uncle, he didn't believe the stories. He was 27, practical, skeptical, and completely unprepared. He arrived just before dusk, carrying a flashlight, a backpack, and the confidence of someone who didn't fear the dark. But the dark feared him. The moment he entered the house, a cold breeze brushed past his neck, like fingers pushing him forward. He ignored it. The air smelled like damp earth, dust, and something metallic, almost like blood. The house creaked as he walked deeper into the living room. The silence was heavy, too heavy. His uncle's belongings were still scattered around, old photos, dusty books, and a large rug in the center of the room. Samir stepped on the rug. The floor shifted. Something hollow echoed beneath him, as if there were empty space under the wood. He knelt and pulled the rug aside. A trapdoor. It had no handle, just carvings burned into the wood. Strange symbols, swirling lines, and one phrase written in faded red ink. Do not awaken what listens. Samir swallowed hard. He should have left. But curiosity is louder than caution. He pressed his fingers under the edge of the trapdoor and lifted. A cold gust of wind spiraled upward from the darkness below. It smelled ancient, older than human memory. He shone his flashlight down the opening. Stairs disappeared into pure black. And then a whisper, soft, fragile, like a child trying not to cry. Samir. He froze. No one knew he was here. He leaned closer. Who's there? He called, but his voice sounded small, swallowed by the darkness. Again the whisper drifted up. Come down, please. It's so cold. His heart thumped painfully, but against all logic, he started descending the stairs. The deeper he went, the colder the air became. His breath turned into fog. His flashlight flickered as if something invisible brushed against it. Halfway down, he noticed the walls weren't stone. They were clay, and covered in scratches. Long, deep scratches. Fingernail marks, as if something or someone had tried desperately to climb out. Then his foot reached the floor. The basement was a single large room with a dirt floor and no windows. In the center sat a small wooden box, carved with the same strange symbols as the trapdoor. The whisper came again, but this time it wasn't a child. It was lower, older, hungry. Set me free. Samir stepped back. Who are you? The box trembled. The dirt around it shifted like something was moving beneath. Set me free, Samir. I have waited so long. His flashlight flickered again, then died. Darkness swallowed him whole. Something moved behind him, slow, wet, breathing. Samir didn't move. He couldn't. A hand, not human, gripped his shoulder. The fingers were long, cold, and bony, pressing through his shirt like metal claws. A voice whispered into his ear. But it wasn't a single voice. It was hundreds, layered, echoing, crawling into his skull. You opened the door. You heard my call. Now you belong to me. Samir yanked himself free and scrambled toward the stairs, but the darkness thickened like it had weight. Something wrapped around his ankle, thin as rope but strong as iron, dragging him back. He screamed, kicking wildly, but the force pulled harder. As he was dragged across the floor, he reached out blindly and grabbed the wooden box. Desperation made him lift it over his head and smash it against the ground. The box splintered. A burst of freezing wind exploded outward, shaking the whole basement. The grip on his ankle released. Then, silence. Samir gasped for air, his heart racing, his hands shaking so violently he could barely stand. but he forced himself up and climbed the stairs 2 at a time. He slammed the trapdoor above him and collapsed on the floor, breathing hard. It was over. He was safe. Or so he thought. Because when he looked up, the shadows in the corners of the room were moving, slowly stretching, like black smoke taking shape. A whisper crawled across the room, deeper than before. Breaking the box did not free you from me. It freed me from the box. The shadows rose like a tall, twisted figure. No face, no eyes, just darkness wearing the shape of a man. Samir ran for the door, but the figure moved faster, appearing in front of him in a split second. The whole house trembled as it stepped closer, the whispers now louder, so loud they felt like claws scraping the inside of his skull. You opened my prison, you brought me breath, and now I walk again. Its voice dropped to a deep, earth-shaking growl. Follow me into the dark. The lights shattered. The door slammed shut. Samir screamed, and the village never saw him again. Weeks later, neighbors passing by the house swore they heard him whispering from inside the walls, calling, begging, waiting for the next person curious enough to lift the trap door.